They were packing my life away, and they thought I couldn't hear them. I stood in my bedroom doorway, watching my son Michael and his wife Patricia. They were whispering in my kitchen. They were talking about me like I was already gone. Like I was a problem they needed to solve. I am 73 years old. I have learned that the most important conversations happen in quiet voices. That's when I knew. The safe facility they kept talking about was not a happy retirement community. It was the end of my freedom. My name is Charlotte Hayes. Right now, I am speaking to you from my balcony in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The ocean air smells like salt and freedom. But before I tell you about the dolphins and the wonderful food, I need to tell you how I almost lost everything. Where are you watching from today? Please, leave a comment below and tell me. I love hearing from all you beautiful souls. My story starts 6 months ago in my house in Sacramento, California. This was the house my late husband, Frank, and I bought in 1982. We raised our 2 children here. After Frank passed away 4 years ago, I kept the house clean and tidy. I had a good life. I volunteered at the library. I played cards with my friends every Thursday. I was healthy and I never missed a doctor's appointment. But this was not enough for Michael and Patricia. It started in small ways. Michael began checking in on me for no reason. Then Patricia started coming with him. Her eyes would move around my kitchen, looking for dust or something out of place. I would find my mail had been opened. My pills were moved to a new cupboard. It's more convenient, Charlotte, Patricia would say. We're just worried about you, Mom, Michael would say. He would put his hand on my shoulder like I was a fragile glass doll. I was not fragile. I was just careful. There is a big difference. Then, they had a big meeting with me. They sat me down at my own kitchen table. Their faces were very serious. They showed me colorful papers. Sunrise Gardens, the papers said. There were pictures of older people laughing and painting. It looked too perfect. It looked like a movie. The kind of place that hides sad truths behind the smell of baking cookies. It's a beautiful place, Mom, Michael said. You would have your own little apartment. There are fun activities. People your own age. I have people my own age, I said. I have my friends. And I have this house. Patricia's smile was tight. Charlotte, we really think this is best. You are alone here so much. What if something happens? What if something happens? Those 4 words are a weapon. Adult children use them to make you afraid. They sound like they care, but they really mean, we want to control you. I told them I would think about it. This was my first mistake. Because to them, I'll think about it, meant yes. That night, I could not sleep. I sat in Frank's old chair. I cried. Not because I was old, but because my own son saw me as a burden. The next morning, I was angry. I opened my computer and I checked my bank account. Not just a quick look. I looked at every single line. What I saw made my whole body go cold. $3,000 was gone. It was sent to a bank account I did not know. My hands shook as I looked back at older papers. This was not the first time. For 4 months, small amounts of money were leaving my account. $200. $500. Then more. $8,000 in total was gone. I did not send it. I called the bank right away. A nice young woman named Jennifer answered. Mrs. Hayes, she said. These payments were made using your online bank account. The money went to an account under the name Michael Hayes. Your son. I felt like I was falling. My son? I whispered. I did not approve these payments, I said. My voice was shaking. Jennifer's voice became soft and careful. Mrs. Hayes, our records show your son was added to your bank account 6 months ago. He can take money whenever he wants. I remembered then. 6 months ago, Michael brought me some papers. Just for your insurance, Mom. Sign here and here. I was busy cooking dinner. I trusted him. I signed. Can you take him off my account? I asked. Of course. I can also tell the police about this fraud, if you want. No. I said quickly. No police. Just remove him. Today. I hung up the phone. I sat at my kitchen table for a full hour, not moving. This was not about the money. This was a betrayal. It made me question every kind word they had ever said to me. I needed to know the whole truth. I became a detective in my own life. I looked through my files. I found papers with my signature that I did not remember signing. A paper that gave Michael the power to make legal decisions for me. A paper about my healthcare. Even a contract with Sunrise Gardens. They had tricked me into signing them when I was busy or tired. Then, I found the worst thing. In my office, I found a folder. It was labeled Mom's Care Plan. Inside, I found a printed email from Patricia to Michael. It said, once we get her into Sunrise Gardens, we can sell her house. The market is good. We will make a nice profit. And Mike, she is only going to get worse. We should do this now, while we can still say it was her choice. My choice. They were going to steal my house and my money, and call it my decision. I was not sad anymore. I was furious. And my anger gave me power. That night, I called my old friend, Doris. She had a similar problem with her daughter. Charlotte, she said. You need a lawyer. Right now. Call Bernard Morrison. He helps older people. Tell him I sent you. Bernard Morrison's office was not fancy. He was a man in his 60s with kind eyes. I told him everything. Mrs. Hayes, he said. This is a crime. Your son is stealing from you. He could go to jail. I don't want him in jail, I said. He is my son. I understand, Bernard said. But this will not stop. Today it is $8,000. Next month, it will be your house. Then, you will be in a nursing home with no money and no way out. His words hurt because I knew he was right. What can I do? I asked. He told me I could fight them in court. Or, he said, I could leave. Leave? I asked. Sell your house. Move far away. Take your life back before they steal it from you. I thought about my house, full of memories of Frank and our children. But the memories were in my heart, not in the walls. The house was now a place of lies. If I leave, they will try to stop me, I said. Bernard smiled a little. Mrs. Hayes, you are a smart adult. You can sell your house and move wherever you want. The trick is to do it fast, and in secret. I left his office with a plan. First, I needed a doctor to say I was thinking clearly. Second, I needed to see how much my house was worth. Third, I needed to protect my money. And the most important rule, do not tell Michael or Patricia anything. The big performance of my life was about to begin that I started acting. I became the person Michael and Patricia wanted me to be, a confused old lady. When they talked about Sunrise Gardens, I said, I'm still thinking, honey. It's a big decision. But secretly, I was working. I went to see my doctor, Dr. Chen. I have been her patient for 12 years. I asked her to test my brain. She did many tests. It took 2 hours. When she was done, she looked confused. Charlotte, she said. Your mind is perfectly sharp. Better than many people younger than you. Why did you need this test? I started acting. I became the person Michael and Patricia wanted me to be, a confused old lady. When they talked about Sunrise Gardens, I said, I'm still thinking, honey. It's a big decision. But secretly, I was working. I went to see my doctor, Dr. Chen. I have been her patient for 12 years. I asked her to test my brain. She did many tests. It took 2 hours. When she was done, she looked confused. Charlotte, she said. Your mind is perfectly sharp. Better than many people younger than you. Why did you need this test? I told her the whole story. About the money, the papers, the facility. Her face became sad. I see this too often, she said. Children who think they are helping, but they are really helping themselves. She gave me a signed letter. It said I was a competent adult. This letter was my shield. Next, I met with a house seller named Susan Park. Doris recommended her. Susan was a fast-talking, no-nonsense woman. She walked through my house. This will sell quickly, she said. I can list it next week. I need it to be a secret, I told her. My son cannot know. Susan was not surprised. I've done this before. We will be quiet. But Charlotte, when the house is sold, it becomes public information. You will have about 1 week before he finds out. 1 week is all I need, I said. That weekend, I told Michael I was going on a church retreat. It was a lie. Instead, Susan brought people to see my house. By Monday, I had 3 offers. I chose the best one. It was all cash, and they offered more money than I asked for. The sale would be final in 30 days. I had 1 month to escape. But I had a secret. A big one. I found another bank account. Frank set it up years ago. He called it our adventure fund. It was money we saved to travel the world. We never got to because he got sick. After he died, I was so sad, I forgot about the money. There was $147,000 in that account. Michael did not know it existed. This was my ticket to freedom. That night, I opened my laptop. My heart was beating fast. I went to a website for a fancy cruise line. I found a world cruise. 117 days. It would go all around the world. It left from Florida in 60 days. The price was huge. $78,000. I took a deep breath. Then, I clicked the button. I bought the cruise. Then, I bought a one-way plane ticket to Florida. I rented a small apartment there for 1 month. I spent another $8,000. I was spending more money than I ever had in my life. And it felt amazing. My phone rang. It was Michael. Hey, Mom. Patricia and I want to take you to dinner tomorrow. We need to talk about Sunrise Gardens. They need an answer. Dinner sounds wonderful, sweetheart, I said, my voice sweet and calm. Tomorrow is perfect. Tomorrow, I would lie to my son's face. And then, I would disappear. The dinner was at a fancy restaurant. Patricia was wearing a new, expensive dress. I was sure my money paid for it. They ordered wine. I drank iced tea. I needed to think clearly. Mom, Michael said. We need your answer about Sunrise Gardens. I looked at him. I put on my best acting. I sighed and looked down. You're right, I said. Patricia almost dropped her fork. Michael stared at me. You agree? He asked. Yes, I said, making my voice sound weak. The house is too big for me. I should be with people. It's for the best. The happiness on their faces was like a bright light. Patricia grabbed my hand. Oh, Charlotte. This is the right choice. You will be so happy there. When can I move in? I asked. I'll call them tomorrow. Michael said, excited. They can take you in 3 weeks. Perfect, I said. That gives me time to pack and say goodbye to the house. We can help you pack, Patricia said quickly. She was already thinking about my things. No, I said softly. This is something I need to do alone. It's important to me. They agreed. They were so happy, they would have agreed to anything. The next 3 weeks were strange. I was 2 people. On the outside, I was a sweet old lady getting ready for a retirement home. On the inside, I was a general planning a war. I let Patricia help me pack. I watched her look at my nice dishes and my jewelry. I knew she was picking out what she wanted. I sold my heavy furniture. I'm downsizing, I told Michael. I gave away my old winter clothes. I wouldn't need them where I was going. All the while, the date for the sale of my house was getting closer. I was liquidating my life, turning it into cash and freedom. The hardest part was the lies. Michael brought me more papers to sign. More forms giving him control. I just want to read them first, honey, I said. I want to understand. He was annoyed, but he could not say anything. He had to keep pretending he was the good, caring son. He never got those papers signed. On May 10th, I went to Bernard's office. I signed the papers that took away Michael's power over me. It was done. On May 15th, I sold my house. It was no longer my home. The money was coming to me. On May 16th, the movers came. But they were not taking my things to Sunrise Gardens. They were taking a few boxes to a storage unit in Florida. The rest, I had sold. I walked through the empty house. I said goodbye to the memories. Then, I locked the door and left the key for the new owners. I did not look back. I was at the airport when my phone started to ring. Michael. Patricia. Again and again. Text messages popped up. Mom, where are you? The movers are at Sunrise Gardens. This isn't funny. Call me. Charlotte, we are worried sick. I turned off the phone. I walked to a trash can and threw it away. It felt like throwing away a heavy chain. I got on the plane to Florida with a new, secret phone in my purse. I was free. My new apartment in Florida was small and simple. It was near the beach. That first night, I sat on the little balcony and listened to the ocean. I cried from relief. No one was going to check my cabinets. No one was going to steal my money. I was in control. Of course, Michael and Patricia did not give up. My new phone rang a few days later. It was Doris. Charlotte, Michael called me. He is very angry. He wants to know where you are. What did you tell him? I asked. I told him you are safe and it's none of his business, Doris said. He threatened to call the police. He says you are a missing person. I was ready for this. He can try, I said. Michael did call the police. A police officer called my new phone. Miss Hayes, we are checking on you. Are you safe? Did you leave your home on your own? Yes, officer, I said. I am safe and I left because I wanted to. I am not missing. The officer wished me a good day and hung up. That was the end of it. But at night, I was sometimes afraid. What was I doing? A 117-day cruise around the world? Alone? I was a 73-year-old woman who played bridge. Was this a crazy, expensive mistake? Then, I would remember the email. The one that said, "Nice profit." I would remember Patricia's face at dinner. And I knew I had done the right thing. The day finally came. June 18th. I stood at the port in Fort Lauderdale and looked at the ship. It was enormous. It was called the Ocean Voyager. It was my new home. I checked in. A woman in a uniform smiled at me. "Welcome aboard, Mrs. Hayes. Traveling alone?" "Yes," I said. "My first cruise." "How exciting. You will have a wonderful time." A man took my bag and showed me to my room. It was small, but it had a balcony. I could see the ocean. I unpacked my new clothes. I put on a nice dress for dinner. I was nervous. The dining room was beautiful. The man in charge led me to a large table. "We seat people traveling alone together," he said. I sat down. There were 7 other people at the table. We introduced ourselves. There was Helen, a retired teacher from Boston. Robert, a widower from San Francisco. Marie, a woman from Montreal who had been on many cruises. We started talking. And as we shared our stories, I realized something amazing. I was not the only one. Helen's daughter wanted her to be a free babysitter. Robert's son tried to put him in a home after he forgot one thing. Marie's family wanted all her money. We all had a story of betrayal. Helen raised her glass. "A toast," she said. "To children who need to learn we are people, not problems." We all clinked our glasses. I looked around the table. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I belonged. The adventure was beginning. Finding your people, your tribe, can change everything. Have you found yours? Let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying my journey, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. The ship's horn blew, a deep, loud sound that vibrated in my chest. We were moving. I stood on my balcony and watched Florida get smaller and smaller. The water was a deep, endless blue. I was really doing this. The first few days at sea were about learning a new routine. The ship was like a small city. There was a schedule for everything: meals, shows, activities. I loved it. For the first time in years, no one needed anything from me. I could just be. Every morning, I would have coffee on my balcony. I would watch the sun rise over the ocean. The air was so clean. I felt peace settle deep inside me. Our first stop was Lisbon, Portugal. The city was built on big hills. The streets were made of small, smooth stones. Helen and I walked together. We found a little bakery and ate warm, creamy custard tarts. The sugar dusted my lips. I didn't think about Michael or Patricia once. In Barcelona, Spain, I went with Robert to see a famous church called the Sagrada Familia. Nothing could have prepared me for it. The inside was like a forest made of stone and light. The columns reached up to the ceiling like giant trees. The sunlight came through the colored glass windows and painted the air in red, blue, and gold. I started to cry. Robert put a gentle hand on my arm. "Are you all right, Charlotte?" he asked. I nodded, wiping my tears. "It's just so beautiful. My Frank would have loved this." It was a happy sadness. I was sad Frank wasn't there to see it, but I was so happy that I was. Our table of 8 solo travelers became a team. We called ourselves the Escape Committee. Every night at dinner, we would share stories about our families. The angry phone calls. The guilt. The slow process of taking back our power. Marie, the woman from Montreal, was on her 3rd world cruise. She was elegant and fierce. My children did not talk to me for a year after I booked my first cruise, she told me one day as we sat by the pool. They said I was selfish. They said I was wasting their inheritance. What did you do? I asked. I sent them a postcard from every port, she said with a wicked smile. And I kept sailing. Helen's story was different. She had lived with her daughter's family, helping with the grandchildren. I was a free nanny and a free cook, she said. One day, my daughter yelled at me for using the wrong laundry detergent. I packed my bag that night. I bought an RV and drove across America. Best decision I ever made. Listening to them, my own guilt started to fade. I wasn't a bad mother. I was a woman who wanted to live. But the biggest change for me happened in Greece. We arrived at the island of Santorini. It was even more beautiful than the pictures. White houses and blue-domed churches clung to the cliffs. The water below was a brilliant, shocking blue. Marie and I took the cable car up from the port. We walked through the narrow, winding streets. The views took my breath away. You seem different, Charlotte, Marie said. You've been quiet. I took a deep breath. I keep waiting to feel guilty, I confessed. For spending the money. For leaving my son. But I don't. Does that make me a terrible person? Marie stopped walking. She turned and looked at me, the incredible view of the sea behind her. Let me tell you something, she said, her French accent making her words sound like wisdom. For many years, I lived for my husband. Then, I lived for my children. They became used to it. They did not want a mother. They wanted a servant who also gave them money. She put her hand on my arm. You are not a terrible person. You are finally being a good mother to yourself. And that is the most important person you need to take care of. Her words sank deep into my heart. She was right. That evening, a few of us from the escape committee went to a small restaurant on the cliff's edge. We ate moussaka and drank local wine. The sun began to set, painting the sky and the white buildings in shades of orange, pink, and gold. A man played a bouzouki, a Greek instrument, and the music was happy and sad all at once. I looked around at my new friends, at the incredible beauty around me, and I felt it. A feeling so simple and pure it almost brought me to tears. Joy. I was happy. Truly, completely happy. I had not felt that in years. As I sat there, watching the sun disappear into the sea, my new phone buzzed in my purse. I almost didn't check it. I didn't want anything to ruin this perfect moment. But something made me look. It was an email from my lawyer, Bernard Morrison. The subject line was one word, urgent. My heart sank. The real world was crashing back in. The peace I had felt just moments ago vanished. What could be so urgent? Had something happened? Was Michael okay? With a trembling finger, I opened the email. Charlotte. Michael has hired a lawyer. They are challenging the sale of your house. They are claiming you were not thinking clearly when you sold it. They say you were confused or under someone's influence. They are demanding the money from the sale be returned. This is serious. Call me as soon as you can. I felt the blood drain from my face. The music and laughter around me seemed to fade. He wasn't letting me go. He was coming after me, even from thousands of miles away. The joy was gone, replaced by a cold, hard fear. The battle was not over. It had just begun. When you finally find peace, it can be scary how quickly it can be threatened. Have you ever felt that? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. The beautiful Greek evening was ruined. The wonderful food tasted like dust in my mouth. All I could think about was the email. My son was suing me. He was telling a court that I was a confused old woman who didn't know what she was doing. He wanted to take the money from my house. The money that was my freedom. I excused myself from the table and went back to the ship. I went straight to my cabin and called Bernard. It was the middle of the night in California, but he answered. "Charlotte," he said, his voice heavy with sleep. "I'm glad you called." "Bernard, what is this? How can he do this?" "He can file a lawsuit for any reason," Bernard explained. "It doesn't mean he will win." "But, Charlotte, he is claiming you have dementia. He has statements from Patricia saying you asked her the same question multiple times. He says you were easily influenced." "That's not true," I said, my voice shaking with anger. I asked her what day it was once because she changed my calendar. And the only one influencing me was them. "I know," Bernard said calmly. "We have Dr. Chen's report. It's very strong. But fighting this could be long and expensive. You might have to come back to California for court dates." Come back? The very thought made me feel sick. I looked out my balcony at the lights of Santorini. I was not going back. I would not let them drag me back into that cage. "Is there another way?" I asked, my voice quiet. Bernard was silent for a moment. "There might be. He wants money. It's always about the money. If you offered him a settlement, he might go away." "A settlement? You mean, pay him?" The idea made me furious. Pay him for stealing from me? Pay him for trying to destroy my life? It's not about fairness, Charlotte. It's about peace. A court battle will cost you time, money, and your peace of mind. Sometimes, it's cheaper to pay them to leave you alone. "How much?" I asked, the words tasting bitter. "Realistically? If you offered him $50,000, he would probably take it and drop the case." $50,000. It was more than he had stolen from me. It was an enormous amount of money. I thought about it. I thought about the stress of a lawsuit. I thought about having to see Michael in a courtroom. I thought about my beautiful, peaceful life on this ship. "Counteroffer," I said, my voice suddenly firm and clear. $25,000. That's it. A final offer. If he refuses, we go to court. And I will press charges for the $8,000 he stole. I will show the judge the email about the nice profit. I will fight him with everything I have. Bernard let out a low whistle. "You've gotten tough, Charlotte." "I've just stopped being afraid," I said. "All right. I'll present the offer. I'll call you back." I hung up the phone. I was shaking. I felt powerful and sick at the same time. I was negotiating with my own son like he was a stranger trying to rob me. I didn't sleep much that night. The next day, we were sailing to Croatia. The beauty of the Dalmatian coast, the green islands, the clear blue water, was lost on me. I was trapped in a nightmare of lawyers and threats. Helen, Robert, and Marie noticed I was quiet. At dinner, I told them what was happening. "The nerve!" Helen exclaimed. "After what he did to you?" Robert, who was usually very calm, looked angry. "He is a bully. Bullies only understand strength." Marie nodded. "You are doing the right thing, Charlotte. You are showing him you are not afraid. That is your power." Their support meant everything. I was not alone in this. 2 days later, while we were docked in the beautiful walled city of Dubrovnik, Bernard called back. "They took the deal," he said. I sank onto my bed, a wave of relief washing over me. 25,000? I asked. 25,000, he confirmed. They sign a paper promising never to take legal action against you again. And they agree to no contact. You won't hear from them unless you contact them first. It was over. I had to pay my son $25,000 to leave me alone. It was a bitter pill to swallow. But it was also a victory. I had protected my freedom. I had bought my peace. Send me the papers, I said. I went to the ship's business center. I printed out the documents. I signed my name, officially paying off my son. I scanned them and emailed them back to Bernard. Then, I transferred the $25,000 from my account to the account Bernard set up. It was done. I walked out onto the deck. The sun was shining on the ancient stone walls of Dubrovnik. I felt a heavy weight lift from my shoulders. It was a costly peace, but it was peace. I found Helen by the pool. It's over, I told her. I paid him off. She hugged me tight. I'm sorry, honey. But now you are free. Really free. That night, I slept deeply for the first time in days. The fight was finished. The rest of the world was mine to explore. And explore we did. The cruise continued, and I made a decision. I would not let Michael's greed steal any more of my joy. I had paid for it, in more ways than one. We sailed to incredible places. In India, the colors and smells were overwhelming and wonderful. In Thailand, I visited a temple and was blessed by a monk. In Singapore, I saw futuristic gardens and ate food from all over the world. With every new port, I felt myself healing. The anger was still there, but it was getting smaller. The world was so big, and my problems started to feel smaller inside it. The escape committee became my family. We celebrated Robert's birthday in Vietnam. We helped Helen pick out silk for a new dress in Hong Kong. We shared our life stories under the southern stars. I was learning to live again. Not as someone's mother, or someone's widow. But as Charlotte. And I was starting to like her very, very much. Peace often comes at a price. Was there a time you had to pay a price for your own peace, big or small? Tell me about it in the comments. Your stories inspire me. The ocean has a way of putting things in perspective. As we crossed the vast Pacific, I spent hours on my balcony just watching the water. It was endless and powerful. It didn't care about my problems. And slowly, I started to care less about them, too. The $25,000 still stung. But I had my health, my friends, and I was seeing the world. I had a freedom most people only dream of. Holding on to my anger was like drinking poison and hoping Michael would get sick. One evening, as we sailed toward Hawaii, I made a decision. I opened my laptop and I wrote an email. I didn't send it to Bernard. I sent it directly to Michael. It was short and simple. Michael. I am safe, I am healthy, and I am happy. I am on a trip that your father and I always dreamed of. I am thinking of him every day. The legal matter is closed. I hope that one day, we can find a way to have a relationship again. A real one, based on respect and not on control. You know where to find me if you are ever ready. Mom. I clicked send before I could change my mind. I didn't know if he would write back. I didn't even know if I wanted him to. But I had put the first olive branch out there. The ball was in his court. I didn't tell anyone, not even Helen. This was between me and my son. The cruise was coming to an end. We had a final farewell dinner with the escape committee. It was a happy, sad night. We had shared this incredible journey. What's next for you, Charlotte? Robert asked. Will you go back to Sacramento? Never, I said with a firm smile. I'm staying in Florida. I've already put a deposit on a small condo there. It has a view of the water. Helen clapped her hands. Wonderful. I'm looking at places in We were a family we had chosen for ourselves. The morning we sailed back into Port Everglades in Florida was strange. The world cruise was over. I had circumnavigated the globe. I had seen 35 countries. I had made lifelong friends. I had also faced down my son and bought my freedom. I was not the same woman who had left Sacramento. That woman was frightened and felt trapped. I was now Charlotte Hayes, world traveler. I was stronger, wiser, and finally, truly myself. I moved into my new condo. It was small and bright, with a lanai that looked out over a canal. I bought simple, modern furniture. I didn't want clutter. I wanted space for my new life. I hung a large world map on the wall and put little pins in all the places I had visited. It was colorful and full of memories. I joined a book club. I started taking watercolor painting classes. I was terrible at it, but I loved it. I even started volunteering at a local shelter for women, telling my story to those who felt trapped. I wanted to give them hope. Life was quiet and good. Then, one Tuesday afternoon in November, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I thought it was a package delivery. I opened the door. And there he was. Michael. He looked older. His shoulders were slumped. He looked uncertain and sad. "Hi, Mom," he said, his voice quiet. My heart hammered in my chest. I hadn't seen him since that dinner at the fancy restaurant. A flood of emotions hit me, anger, sadness, and a tiny, stubborn flicker of love. "Hello, Michael," I said. My voice was calm, which surprised me. Can we talk?" he asked. He looked like a little boy who had lost his way. I looked at my son. I thought about the betrayal, the stolen money, the lawsuit. But I also thought about the email I had sent. The olive branch. I took a deep breath. "Yes," I said, stepping back to let him in. "We can talk." Because 117 days at sea had taught me that holding on to anger is just another kind of prison. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you go back to the way things were. It means you choose your own peace. We sat on my lanai. I poured us both some iced tea. The Florida sun was warm. And slowly, carefully, we began to talk. For the first time in years, we didn't talk about my care, or my money, or my house. We just talked. And it was a start. The silence on my lanai was thick and heavy. Michael held his glass of iced tea, not drinking, just staring at the condensation on the outside. "I got your email," he finally said, not looking at me. "I wondered if you did," I replied. Another silence. A boat puttered by on the canal. I'm sorry, Mom." The words were so quiet I almost didn't hear them. But I did. I waited. I knew there had to be more. He took a shaky breath. "I started seeing a therapist. After everything. She helped me see things. How my fear of you getting sick, of you falling, of something happening, it made me crazy. I thought I was protecting you. But I was just controlling you." I listened, my heart a mix of hope and caution. "And the money?" He shook his head, his face full of shame. "Patricia and I, we had some debts. Bad ones. From the new car, from just things. I was stressed. I told myself it was just a loan. That we'd pay it back. I told myself you wouldn't even miss it. I know how terrible that sounds. It is terrible." He finally looked at me, his eyes filled with tears. "I have paid back every penny of the $8,000. With interest. I put it into your account last week. It's $8,400. It's all there. I had seen the deposit. I hadn't known what to make of it. Now I did. "Thank you for telling me, Michael," I said. My voice was soft. "And thank you for paying it back." It wasn't a full, sweeping forgiveness. The wound was too deep for that. But it was a beginning. An acknowledgement. It was more than I ever thought I would get. We talked for 3 hours that day. He didn't make excuses. He took responsibility. He told me about the pressure he felt to be the successful son. He talked about missing his dad. He was honest in a way he hadn't been since he was a boy. He didn't ask about my money. He didn't ask about the cruise. He asked about me. When he left, he gave me an awkward hug. Can I come back next week?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "You can." And he did. He came back the next week, and the week after that. Our conversations were still a little stiff, but they were real. Patricia came with him once. It was uncomfortable. She was formal and polite. The trust between us was broken, and it would take a long time to rebuild, if it ever could. But she came. That was something. We were not a perfect family. We probably never would be. But we were honest now. And honesty, I was learning, was a much stronger foundation than the fake, controlling care we had before. One day, Michael was over, and he saw the brochure for my next trip on the kitchen counter. A river cruise through Europe for 8 weeks. Helen was coming with me. He picked it up. He looked at it for a long time. I braced myself for a comment. A sigh. Is that a good use of your money, Mom?" But he didn't. He put the brochure down and looked at me. "Tulips in Amsterdam?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "In the spring. It should be beautiful." He nodded slowly. "Dad would have loved that," he said. And then he smiled, a real, genuine smile. "I'm glad you're going, Mom. I'm glad you're living." In that moment, I felt a final piece of the wall around my heart crumble away. He saw me. Not as a problem or a bank account, but as a person. A person who wanted to see the tulips in Amsterdam. It was the closest we had come to peace. My life in Florida settled into a lovely rhythm. Mornings walking on the beach. Afternoons with my watercolors or my book club. Evenings on my lanai. Visits from my son that were slowly becoming something I looked forward to. I was 74 years old. My life wasn't perfect. I still missed Frank every single day. Some mornings I woke up and wondered what I was doing in Florida, so far from everything I had ever known. But then I would walk on the beach and feel the sand between my toes. I would call Helen to plan our next adventure. Or I would sit on my lanai and watch the dolphins play in the surf. And I would remember. This is what freedom feels like. This is what it means to choose yourself. And if that makes me selfish, or a bad mother, or difficult, or any of the other words people use for women who refuse to fade away quietly, well, I can live with that. I lived 73 years being what everyone else needed me to be. These next years, however many I have left, are mine. The peace I felt was no longer a tentative truce, but a settled reality. It was like the Florida weather after a storm, the air was cleansed, and the light seemed sharper, more beautiful. Michael's visits became the highlight of my week. We developed a new ritual. He would arrive on Saturday mornings, often with bagels or fresh fruit, and we would sit on the lanai for hours, talking about nothing and everything. He told me about the therapy he was still attending, how it was helping him untangle his own anxieties from his expectations of others. He confessed that he and Patricia were also in counseling, working through the financial dishonesty that had nearly capsized their marriage. "It's hard," he admitted one morning, staring into his coffee. "But we're talking. Really talking, for the first time in years. I was proud of him. Not for the man he had been, but for the man he was struggling to become. The son who had tried to manage me was receding, replaced by a man who was learning to manage himself. One Saturday, he arrived looking more serious than usual. "Mom, there's something I want to give you," he said, holding a small, flat box. It's not a payment. It's just something I thought you should have." I opened the box. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, was my mother's pearl necklace. I had given it to Patricia as a birthday gift years ago, a gesture of welcome into the family. Seeing it now felt like a punch to the gut, a flood of memories, both good and bad, washing over me. "Patricia wanted you to have this back," Michael said softly, watching my face. She knows she can't ever truly deserve it. She said it belongs with you." I picked up the necklace, the cool, smooth pearls familiar against my skin. It wasn't about the pearls themselves, it was about the symbolism. It was a surrender. An acknowledgement that the relationship had to be rebuilt from the ground up, with no false pretenses or unearned tokens. "Thank you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. This was very thoughtful of her. I didn't put it on. I placed it back in the box. It would stay there, I decided, until the day, if it ever came, that I felt ready to wear it again, or perhaps to give it to a granddaughter, with a very different story attached. As winter melted into a balmy Florida spring, my trip with Helen approached. The excitement was a constant, happy hum in the background of my days. We video called each other weekly, comparing packing lists and guidebooks. Helen had bought a comically large sun hat, and I had invested in a pair of walking shoes so comfortable I felt I could trek across Europe in them. The day before my flight, Michael came over to help me pack. It was a role reversal that wasn't lost on either of us. He was meticulously folding my sweaters, rolling them to save space, just as I had done for him when he left for college a lifetime ago. "Are you nervous?" he asked, placing a neatly rolled cardigan into my suitcase. "A little," I admitted. "But it's a good nervous. The kind that feels like being alive." He zipped up the suitcase for me, hefting it off the bed with a grunt. 8 weeks is a long time. You'll call when you can? Of course I will. I'll send you a postcard from every single port, I promised, echoing my friend Marie from the World Cruise. He smiled at that. Good. He looked around my tidy condo, at the itinerary pinned to the fridge, at the passport sitting on the counter. I'm really going to miss you, Mom. And I knew he meant it. The river cruise was everything I dreamed it would be. Drifting down the Rhine, past storybook castles and vineyards just beginning to bud. Strolling through the Keukenhof Gardens in Amsterdam with Helen, a breathtaking sea of color as far as the eye could see, tulips in every shade of the rainbow. We sat at a cafe in Vienna, eating Zahortorte and feeling impossibly elegant. We danced to an accordion player on the banks of the Danube in Budapest. I sent Michael a postcard from each place, just as I'd promised. Short, cheerful notes about the food and the scenery. He texted me back simple messages. Looks amazing, Mom. So glad you're there. They were small gestures, but they were the threads weaving a new tapestry of our relationship, one built on support, not supervision. When I returned to Florida, tanned and my soul feeling full to bursting, Michael was at the airport to pick me up. He hugged me tightly. Welcome home, Mom. He drove me back to my condo, and as we turned onto my street, I saw it. Sitting on my lanai was a beautiful, ornate ceramic planter, overflowing with blooming, brilliant purple bougainvillea. I got you a welcome home present, he said, a little shyly. I remembered you saying you wanted something with more color out here. It was perfect. It was a gift that acknowledged my life here, in this new place. It wasn't a reminder of the past, but an investment in my present. That evening, as I sat on my lanai surrounded by my luggage and the scent of the new flowers, I felt a profound sense of completion. The journey was over, and yet, it was also just beginning. The world had shrunk to a manageable, beautiful size, and my place in it felt secure and right. A few weeks later, I was hanging a new watercolor, my slightly improved attempt at capturing the Amsterdam canals, when the phone rang. It was Helen. "Charlotte," she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. "I've been looking at brochures for a Canadian Rockies train journey for next year. What do you think?" I looked around my home. At the map on the wall, waiting for its next pin. At the empty suitcase in my closet, ready for its next adventure. At the lanai where my son now came to visit, not out of duty, but out of love. I smiled. "Helen," I said. "Send me the brochures." And so, my story ends here, on this lanai, with the sun on my face and the future stretching out before me, bright and full of promise. I learned that it's never too late to change your story. It's never too late to choose yourself. The path might be painful, and the cost might be high, but the reward is a life that is truly, completely your own. You can live a lifetime for others, or you can claim your remaining years for yourself. I chose to claim mine. Thank you for traveling with me. Thank you for your comments and for sharing your own stories of courage. You have given me more strength than you will ever know. This is Charlotte Hayes, signing off. Be brave, my friends. Choose yourself. And never, ever stop exploring.